All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are grateful to have every one of you on the platform this morning. This is a special session of the Transportation Growth Initiative webinar. And this particular edition is going to be focusing on the politics of transportation growth and development in Africa. And we are glad this morning to take you on the entire stretch of the program with very rich speakers lined up and a very erudite chair that is going to be taking us through this 2-hour session. We look forward to your participation actively as we come out with recommendations that will help in advancing transportation in Nigeria, particularly, and also in Africa. The topic again is the politics of transportation growth and development in Africa. And by way of introduction, we said that as Africa makes efforts to catch up with the rest of the world in socioeconomic and political fronts, it is faced with huge infrastructure gaps, yet with unprecedented population growth, giving us a host of deficits in transportation. Of course, transportation is a key enabler of socioeconomic development, but which has not fared well in terms of the size of investment, the quality of infrastructure and services to enable seamless, efficient, and sustainable, safe, and equitable transportation system. No doubt some countries are making progress, but some of these progress are limited and in some cases are not comprehensive enough. Could this be the challenge of leadership in the sector? Or is it the adequacy of resources or a lack of political will? Could Africa's transportation system have fared better if new models of leadership are adopted? And what are those models and how do we go about setting them up? It is on this note that this webinar was set up to examine this issue, first with a general overview, then from perspectives of the two countries in focus, Nigeria and Ghana in particular. Are the current leadership practices and political will in African countries enabling the delivery of efficient transportation system? If not, what are the gaps and how do we mitigate this through strategic leadership reforms and adoption of successful transport leadership models as may have or rather exist elsewhere? So by way of introduction, this shall be the focus, and if you see on the screen, you will find the agenda, very brief, and we will go straight to introducing our guests that are already on the platform. We are delighted this morning to have very erudite personalities, great people that we think will do justice to the topic and the subject in discourse. And we look forward to delivery of each of the papers as well as all of the discussion sessions in the program. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to us, first of all, the chief host of this program, my very own boss, who also doubles as the one in charge of the Transportation Growth Initiative in Canada, temporarily because he will come back to Nigeria, Dr. Adeyemi Omidiji. If it's convenient for you, just clap for. Thank you for being on the program, sir. So early in Canada. I think it's around 4 a.m. or thereabout in Canada now, but you were able to make it. We are grateful as our host. Next to him is one of our speakers, Engineer Professor Reverend Charles Adams, whom I met for several years now. I've been relating on professional grounds for several years. I read his brief citation. Engineer Professor Charles Adams is the president of the Ghana Institute of Engineering, a fellow of the Ghana Institute of Engineering, Center Director of Africa Center of Excellence, Regional Transport Research and Education Center, Kumasi, Center Leader Center for Sub-Saharan Transport Leadership, a professor of civil engineering at the College of Engineering, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Ghana. A transport leader promoting the training of the next generation of transport leaders for the industry in Africa in association with regional and international partners through short courses, postgraduate programs, and research. He is a graduate of Imperial College, UK, and NUST, that is Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and has had stints in India Institute of Technology, Madras, Chennai, University of Birmingham, UK. His research interests include road safety, traffic management, transport leadership, simulation and modeling of traffic systems. He is a member of several international networks, including Volvo Research and Educational Foundation, International Road Federation, and Africa Excellence Project. He is the visionary leader of the Africa Transport Education and Research Network, AFTAN, and founding leader of the Africa Center of Excellence, Transport and Urban Supply Chain Network. He is widely traveled and married to Josephine with 3 children, Stephanie, Daniel, and Carl Teddy. They live in Kumasi, Ghana. You'd like to help me welcome him and just put your hands together if it's possible. Thanks, Prof, for being on the platform. Also on the platform this morning, we have Professor Gbadamosi Kolawole. And I also quickly read the citation. Professor Gbadamosi Kolawole is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport and holds a PhD in transport geography from the University of Ibadan. He's currently a professor of transport planning and safety in the Department of Transport Management and Technology of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. Professor Gbadamosi joined the services of Ogun State University, now Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, in 1992. To date, he has put in over 2 decades of unbroken service in academics and rose through the ranks from graduate assistant in 1992 to the rank of senior lecturer in 2006. While still in Olabisi Onabanjo, he moved to Federal University of Technology, Akure, after his appointment as a senior lecturer in 2014 and was later promoted to the rank of a reader in the Department of Transport Management and Technology of the university. Shortly after he joined FUTA, he was appointed the head of the Department of Transport Management in 2014. He has produced a sizable number of PhD and master's degree graduates in transport at Olabisi Onabanjo University, University of Lagos, or rather Lagos State University, while serving as a visiting scholar between 2008 and 2010, and Federal University of Technology, Akure, where he currently serves as a professor since 2017. He served as the head of the Department of Geography and Regional Planning from August 2004 to 2006, and was later appointed as the director of the Center for Transport Studies in February 2011. He serves as coordinator of the Center for Transport Studies of the department for 4 years before assuming the headship position of his first appointment as head in 2004. He has the privilege of serving in many university committees as a member of the University Senate, head of department, and director of the Center for Transport Studies. He co-authored 2 books of reading in transport. These are Port Administration and Development in Nigeria. The book was published by Heinemann Publisher, Ibadan. Ogunsanya, a compilation of some of late Professor A. Ogunsanya's publications, 1950 to 2009, published by Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology. Professor Gbadamosi is well-traveled. He has had a stint in Israel and UK. He lives in Akure with his wife and children. Please help me welcome Professor Gbadamosi Kolawole. Thank you very much for being on the platform, sir, and for being our speaker. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to also briefly introduce to us the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, who is here this morning, and we shall shortly invite her to give us a short speech, Dr. Ajani Magdalene. I was told she is on transit currently to Bauchi to commission the NITT Transport Technology Center, and she's represented by a deputy director. Please permit me, I am here to get your name. Can you just indicate very quickly so that we can see you? You are representing the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. Okay, maybe the deputy director will join us as we go on. Now, permit me, therefore, to introduce our chairman, the chairman of today's event, an erudite scholar, a known face in the transportation industry, my very own boss, the first and pioneer Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps Nigeria, Dr. Olu Akunloye. And perhaps my Executive Secretary of Transportation Growth Initiative will talk a little bit more about him when he comes up to give his welcome address. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire leadership and members of the Transportation Growth Initiative Nigeria and Transportation Growth Initiative Canada, we welcome every one of you to the platform. I therefore want to invite the host, Dr. Adeyemi Omidiji, the Executive Secretary of Transportation Growth Initiative, to please give us his brief welcome remarks.
Thank you very much. Engineer John Emmanuel, am I correct?
Very well, sir.
Because you didn't let us know your name.
I am, permit me, I am Engineer Emmanuel John, the Director of Administration and Strategy of Transportation Growth Initiative Nigeria. Pardon me, I'll be moderating the session.
Fantastic. It's a great pleasure to be on this platform this morning. My name is Dr. Adeyemi Omidiji, and as earlier said, I remain the Executive Director and also coordinating TGI both ways. When I mean both ways, both in Canada and as well as in Nigeria. Having said that, I so much appreciate what has also been put together by both, or what will be coming to be a lead presentation, as well as presentation that will be coming from both scholars. Therefore, I will also quickly say that Dr. Olu Akunloye had been a mentor. He has also, as you all know, the pioneer Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety, and as well as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He was first with Navy, Minister of State, eventually became the Minister of Power under the then Olusegun Obasanjo's administration. However, he has also dabbled into politics of Nigeria very strongly. And when this topic was being muted, it quickly came to my mind that someone that has gotten both an experience in the technocratic world and of course in the political arena could do a little bit of moderation when this program is going to come up this week. Well, I believe we will have him as the chairman to run us within this period of this program. Again, I won't say that. I will make a quick remark as indicated on the program, and I will not want to bore this platform and other members. like earlier indicated by Engineer John, we believe that integrating the whole world, integrating every part of the world, transportation remains a key to this integration system. And being a key to this integration system, we also believe that the transportation that we are looking at must be very safe, must be very efficient. And the very situation that also came to my mind was the example of various situations that I have seen in my sojourn. First, I will make a quick example of a situation that I saw in Morocco. As you all know, Morocco has a link of the rail system from Casablanca to Marrakech. This rail system, to the best of my knowledge, and from what I gathered on my first experience, has a situation whereby close to 5,000 to 6,000 passengers are moved on this rail system on a daily basis. So large is a number. Again, I also was privileged to travel by rail within our country, Nigeria, and I have just been told anyway that the Katsina line is going to link Maradi in Niger. Well, we hope that will be the first African link that we may be having. Secondly, I also have a little grip of what is happening back here in Canada. And I also witnessed the railing system, the air system,
you will get class today,
the road system, everything working efficiently. And at the same time, I also discover that in Kenya, there is a link between Kenya and Uganda within the rail system. But one critical issue that came to mind, and which I also observed, was that the Kenyan system had considered the fact that there is direct and indirect employment that this railing system is serving, that there is the support for tourism, there is the local business that is also being enhanced, which of course results in economic growth, and then of course the movement of goods and services. Having said this, it was exactly now my concern, therefore, for me to conclude on this, that politics should play no role in the growth of transportation development, either in Africa or any part of the world. I leave this judgment to the two professors to give us the insight into this situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that brief remarks from the Executive Secretary of Transportation Growth Initiative, coordinating both locally and internationally. Permit me, therefore, to also invite the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, who has earlier been introduced, and I was told that the Deputy Director is going to be representing her in this meeting. Please, could you please introduce yourself and then go ahead to give the Permanent Secretary speech if you're already on the platform. Okay. Okay, which means he is not yet around. On that basis, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I am Adakole Egboitodo.
Okay.
Assistant Director, Transport Planning and Intermodal Coordination.
Okay.
I am representing the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation,
Okay.
Dr. Madeleine Ajali, on this meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. On that
you.
basis, the Permanent Secretary has earlier been introduced, and we would like to have a brief from you, brief speech from you with regards to this program.
Indeed, I'm with her speech.
Can I say something quickly, Engineer John?
Go ahead, Prof.
Members who are not talking mute their phone so that we do not get distracted. Members who are not allowed to talk or who are not trying to talk to mute their phone. That will reduce the background noise.
Very, very correct, Prof, sir. Thank you so much for that reminder. Please, it's important, mute yourself if you are not the one talking. Thank you very much. Sir, representative of the PAMSEC, you could please proceed. The representative of the PAMSEC, please permit me, you can proceed. Are you still here on the platform? Hello? Hello, sir. Okay. I think he went off. Hello, rep of the Ministry of Transportation.
There could be system error.
I think he's muted. He's muted.
Tell him to unmute.
Just unmute yourself. Check the left-hand side of yourself. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like I've said earlier, I'm representing the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Madeleine Ajali. She is unavoidably absent in this meeting. Please permit me to read her speech, her keynote speech. And I want to stand on all existing protocols, please. I am pleased to be invited to speak on the theme, the politics of transportation growth and development in Africa, at the virtual meeting organized by the Transport Growth Initiative. It is hoped that at the end of this meeting, participants would have provided implementable solutions to issues on inadequacy of funds and lack of political will, among others, in the development of transportation network in Nigeria and Africa at large. It is important to note that transportation infrastructures, both soft and hard, remain the bedrock on which the rest of the socioeconomic development of a nation rests. Soft transportation infrastructures refer to institutions and information such as financial and educational institutions, judicial system, law enforcement agents, human capital, relevant policies, etc. While the hard infrastructure are physical structures and modern supporting information technologies, among which are roads, bridges, seaports, airports, power facilities, telecommunication system, as well as vehicles, trains, ships, airplanes, refineries, telecommunication masts, and fiber cables, etc. Though the infrastructure are costly to provide, the prospects of a nation's fortune and well-being of its citizens lies on the availability and integration of the various modes of transportation, that is both land, water, and air. Development of transport infrastructure in Africa. The evolution of modern transport system in Africa can be traced to the networks of rail, water, and land transport developed during the colonial rule for the exportation of raw materials and cash crops from the hinterland to the sea. The raw materials were taken abroad for processing, and the finished goods imported and sold at exorbitant prices to Africans. This trend has not stopped in most of African nations. It is at the post-independence of African nations that intents of developing transport infrastructure targeted at connecting of African nations and cities were conceived. Some of such laudable projects are the Trans-Saharan Highway Program, such as the Abidjan-Lagos Corridor, Trans-Saharan Highway to connect Nigeria with Algeria via Niger Republic, a cross-African route, the Lagos-Mombasa Highway, links Nigeria, Cameroon, Central African Republic, DR Congo, Uganda, and Kenya. The proposed Trans-West Central African Rail Network from Senegal to Sudan is another of those projects. There is also a need for the African Union and other regional economic communities to develop air and sea hubs as strategic locations in the continent. It should be noted that the success of the African Continental Free Trade Area trade agreement is hinged on effectiveness, efficiency, and connectivity of the transport infrastructure in Africa. To this end, the theme of this meeting is considered very apt. The federal government has exercised great political will. When I mean the federal government, I mean the federal government of Nigeria has exercised great political will in the development of transport infrastructure in the country. This has shown in the modernization of the rails of sector, where 859 kilometers of standard gauge rail lines had been constructed and commissioned for commercial use in the last 5 years. Furthermore, groundbreaking ceremonies have been done for the commencement of the construction of 2 new rail corridors, Kano-Maradi in Niger Republic and the Port Harcourt South-South to Maiduguri Northeast corridors. Many other strides have been achieved in other modes of transportation in recent times. This feat wouldn't have been possible within the short time of the present administration without a strong political will of the leadership. In spite of the above successes, a recent Central Bank working paper acknowledged that there exists a significant infrastructure financing gap, which has been estimated at $2.9 trillion US, an amount that is needed to actualize the Nigeria Infrastructure Integrated Master Plan, where transport infrastructure accounts for more than 50%. From the above, there is a need for sustainable funding for the development of transport infrastructure, which cannot be easily achieved without the participation of the private sector, even with consistent political will. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, please. That is her speech that I have read. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. This. I cannot hear them.
Okay. Apologies. Thank you so much for your presentation on behalf of the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. Please convey our sincere gratitude to her for participation, and I believe the chairman and other senior people on the platform will speak more and also mention some of the key issues you have mentioned in the course of your paper. It's assured that some of your recommendations will go into the content of our outcome. And hopefully when the outcome is ready, you will accept it as a document to implement. Thank you very much once more.
Thank you so much. That is why we are always on the ground. We promise to do the same.
Thank you so much, sir. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to inform every one of us that for certain technical reasons, there was no formal registration to come into this platform. And for that reason, we want to request that everyone humbly just type your email in the chat handle. Just type your email in the chat handle, your email and your full name, so that we can capture it, and then you'll be able to receive the outcome of this program. You'll also be able to receive the presentations that have been made because of this program upon approval of the presenters. Only if you do that. Input mode. Apologies, please can you mute yourself if you are not the one talking? Please mute yourself if you are not the one talking. Thank you so much. Okay. So please type your email and your full name in the chat handle so that it can be captured effectively, and then you can get all of the communications that will follow after this program. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our chairman on this platform. There's a paper that is going to introduce TGI that will come later. Please permit me to once again call on the chairman, having been introduced earlier, the former minister, the first corps marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Dr. Olu Agunloye, as he takes us further, giving his speech and thereafter continue on this program. Chairman, sir.
Yes. I hope you can hear me now.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. It is good morning here in Nigeria, and I think it is maybe good 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in Canada. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to be on this program. I'm happy to also see people who I have worked with in the past, like Yemi Omidiji, like Emmanuel John, and so on, continue to push along on transportation issues. I'm happy to be associated with the two professors on this program. And I have noted directly from the speeches that have been given so far, the first one is dabble into politics. Yemi himself said so. The director, the executive director said, Dr. Agunloye dabbled into politics. Then, as part of the points that he wants to do before this conference, he says politics should play no role in transportation system. Okay. Then when the permanent secretary spoke, he said, above all, lack of political will. So as a member of the House, transportation industry, transportation safety in Nigeria, and somebody who had a lot of input on this one, and as a politician, I'd like to stress that there's some noise coming from somewhere. I don't know where that is. Okay.
Yes.
I hope you are hearing me.
Pardon me. Yes, we can, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to take the issue of politics first. That word, politics. Okay. The title of this is Politics of Transportation Growth and Development. There are two definitions of politics. The normal one, and the African one, or maybe the obnoxious one. Because I also found that even in the US, they tend to sometimes refer to the obnoxious one. In Nigeria, those of you who are familiar with us here, the Adeoye may know, okay? Mutadio Olakunle may know, as soon as he says currently in road safety, ACM at the moment. When you do something that is outrageous, something that is stupid, they say it's playing politics. When you actually flop on what assignment they gave you, and you actually have misled your community or your establishment, they say that he was playing politics. And when you say something that may be beneficial to the society, they say, don't mind him. It is politics. Those who want to oppose you say it is politics. So really, that can only be the sense in which Dr. Omidiji says politics should not play a role in transportation. Then the word it dabbles into politics again determines the way you see politics. A lot of us, perhaps including Dr. Omidiji himself and including a lot of you here, have seen politics mainly in the negative sense. Don't touch it because it is a job that crooked people handle. It's a murky water, as they say. it is a very difficult terrain, and it is not the terrain for gentlemen, and you have to just be one of the thieves, so to say, one of the rugged thieves, one of the bold, brazen people with immunity to want to be a politician. So for that, when people like us, okay, people with proven credibility, people with proven record of goodness, people with proven record of achievement and performance, now tries to become a politician, people don't see it well. They say he dabbles into it. And of course, they are right. Because as you dabble into it, they burn your fingers and you run back again. Okay?
Yes.
But that is not
Yes.
the correct politics.
Yes. Okay.
That is not the correct politics. We have tended in Nigeria and perhaps the rest of Africa
Yes.
to leave politics to only the dubious people. We have also tended not to support some of the people with half courage or with full courage, without resources, without the criminality of the so-called politician to come into the political arena. And what do we find? Politics is not just what we have said. Politics is about activities that lead to governance. Politics is about discussions and performance and other things that put together that lead to politics. I mean, to policies. Policies are the things we put together that allows us to know that transportation is an entity by itself, or that transportation is the nerve, the core of economic rules. Okay? And that without it, everybody is dead. I will, to link with this transportation, I will give you just one small picture of 3 items that form a tripod. It is politics, economy, and security. Apparently, those 3 legs are what any country stands upon: politics, economy, and security. And unfortunately, there is really nothing you can do about security. And there is really nothing you can do about economy. So the doer, the performer, the one that achieves is the politics. Then these politics are not played by all of us. Politics are played by very few people. In Nigeria, less than about 1% of the 200 million people. Okay? Then now, when they don't do the correct thing and they mess up, it then affects the economy of the country. The economy and the development issues that lead to economy cannot longer be sustainable and cannot be sustained. Then the economy starts to go down. Then, because with the political leg had failed, they start to struggle to do so many things, sometimes printing of currency, and most of the time deceiving the people and very serious repression and oppression. And when this continues, the third leg called security will start to break down. We find that at least in Nigeria, the security aspect have broken down completely. And it started because the politics failed. And when the politics failed, it will happen that you will not be able to handle the economy. So what I think this group must look at is how the politics should be played and how the bad politics should not be allowed to affect transportation growth. Because transportation growth is very key to development, is very key to integration, is very key to everything that we do. And it is not to be measured by the rail system, by the air system, and then including the new fast trains and so that are coming on now, it should be looked at, including active transportation, which are non-motorized transportation. So I wish you a good deliberation, and then we will learn new things, but you must bear in mind that the policies that we are worried about is the aspect of it that goes in the negative way.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to be here today.
You have muted.
No, I have not, but I finished my
Yes.
brief.
Okay. The lead speaker now.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah,
Or rather, thank you very much, our chairman, for a well-delivered speech touching all of the critical issues to the development of transport and indeed politics in Nigeria and, of course, Africa. We are grateful having you on the platform, sir. And each of the issues you have touched will certainly go into the outcome of this program. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our first speaker for today. And that is my professor who has earlier been introduced. He works at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. Please, let's welcome together Professor Gbadamosi Kolawole as he takes us on the paper titled The Politics of Transportation in Africa from Nigeria's Perspective. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Accra is fine and beautiful with a fine weather, and I guess it's the same thing all over, most especially Canada, even though it's chilly there. I want to request that the host should permit me to share the screen, and I want to believe you are hearing me audibly from Akure, Nigeria.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Permit me to share the.
You can share now, sir.
I want the host to share to. Okay, yeah. We can't. It's still not coming out. I want to appreciate the opportunity given by the group to be part of this important and germane occasion and situation discussing politics of transportation. I want to say that I want to kick you from the opening speech of our man in person of Dr. Oluwagoye. It's actually played correct politics.
Prof, please, can you hold on?
Yeah.
Prof, can you hold on? Let me reach out to these people to keep quiet first. Sorry. Please, if you are not talking, keep quiet. If you are not the one presenting, please can you mute your system so that we can have clean sound as the presentation is going on, please. Thank you very much.
Engineer, the host can also mute people.
That's what I just did that now.
Okay, good.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
So you observe that to allay the fears of the executive secretary of the TGI in person of Dr. Yemi Omijiji, that we're talking about politics in the words of the former minister and the pioneer executive director of federal safety in Nigeria, in person of Dr. Oluwagoye, who also as the command this occasion. We're talking correct politics, and there is no way that politics will not be part of what we're talking about when it comes to transportation infrastructure development, as it were. I want to welcome everybody, including the Professor Charles from Ghana and other persons that are on board this occasion. And I want to appreciate the opportunity given to share my opinion. And I guess we are all going to learn from this process. The title of this paper and the presentation is The Qualities of Potential Growth and Development. There's no doubt that politics appears to play a very important role
Hello. Prof, are you still there?
Freeze.
Hello, Prof, are you still there?
It's freezing.
Oh, he's gone off.
It's gone off now.
I hope you understand with us, these are part of the challenges with technology, and we hope that we join.
This is what the politics that Komediji was talking to. There is no internet connection in the whole of Ondo State. I probably didn't cut off because I'm talking to you from Abuja.
Okay.
Oh.
If I had taken this call from my village in Erishu, you will not hear a word from me.
You know nothing.
And all of this is called by politicians.
Politicians, yes.
Who did not do their work.
That's it. That is it.
Okay. Oh no. Please permit to give him a few minutes. I reach out to him to be sure he joins back as soon as possible. Apologies for your time. Please do remember to put in your full name and email on the chat room. And also, and for everyone who is non-Nigerian, if you are not from Nigeria, please also add your country so that we can have a look at the spread of participation. Apologies that I didn't say that earlier. Thank you so much.
It's freezing?
Yes, I just spoke with him and they are connecting back right away. He has it went off as we thought.
Yes. That's it. Okay.
I still believe that this.
I'm back online.
Okay, he's back.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please proceed to share your slide.
Okay. I'm sorry for the break in translation. As we have power backup, we also have
internet cut.
No problem.
So that's the situation I find ourselves here and still battling. And I guess
still
the playing politics will bring us to the wood. So you know that's not possible to look at the pattern of development, transport over time, most especially from the time of colonialism, and what efforts made in way. And I try as much as possible to appreciate and identify the role in the economy in terms of its capacity, in terms of movement of goods and services, passengers, and also in the process of effective.
I know what's up for us. Okay, quiet as if nothing happened.
You're up there with me that without
nothing happened.
the regional decision regulation and transportation of goods by economies and with that effect transportation network as is on to come in out of Innova. You see a flow and the rest as an echo and of course that has happened in the area of the agreement in terms of implication in what has kind of implementarity that has been established over time as a result of the differences we have. So the issue of politics is very germane, and there's no way we can get in politics as part of major influencer of transport development, because it's the engine and the only mechanism through which decisions are taken any location as it were, because there must be some people that must be political power and to be able to do the right thing. And transport, as it were, is that cannot be left in the hands of novice and then must have take an added decision that can assist in a way to help and support situation with at any point in time. And I know Dr. Luagwe in his message has given us an allusion to the root of terms of his contribution to the effective transportation can move to locations where the mental control and of play at the train activities such as, and that's the reason why the colonials attempted the opening of the country wherever they find themselves, because that's the only way they can have access to the productive base, the economy, in terms of integration and bringing out what is available in various locations. You can imagine the development of transportation, given the words of Lord Lugard in the year 1922.
Hello, permit me, Prof. Permit me to interrupt you, Prof. Could you please put off your video? Perhaps that can improve the quality of the sound. It's so poor.
You mean I should?
Maybe put off the video for now.
But he
so that
needs the
everybody
video.
should do that. I think we can all do that to allow him to speak, so that we can have clear sound.
To show the slides. But
if all the participants can put on their video, it will help him.
It will reduce the load.
John, please can the participants put on their video? Then he can have his own on, and then it will be clear.
Okay, please, can we have all the videos put off for now, temporarily? Please, thank you very much. Prof, you can proceed, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, thank you very much. So, like the first appearance of Lord Lugard in Nigeria, in Africa, in
Prof, please unmute yourself.
Can be summed up in one word, which implies that the only way by which the colonialists can approach evacuation of goods, emancipation of activities in the area of economic activities and social interaction can only take place with the development of transport in terms of relation and relate as well. And that's how the Europeans begin activities in the area of development, transportation, with rail, transportation, and road safely to link the seaports for evacuation of goods and services, and most especially industrial outputs from Africa to their home country in terms of industrial development. And this has not stopped because we still continue to export our raw materials. We still export and depend on finished products from other parts of the world, which has been part of what has supported, which transport has supported in a way. And I believe that playing good policies will bring us out of goods by ensuring that we try as much as possible to develop our own industries in Nigeria and now export finished products. I feel very disappointed and very discouraged the way politics is being played, most especially the reform politics and the bad politics, which is on, where we, after several years of independence, and being one of the producers of oil in Nigeria, we are depending on export our crude oil and bringing in finished products. Is an aberration instead of the fact that all our refineries are down. So there is no doubt that important decisions in the areas of development, not only in transport, has to be taken using political will and for effectiveness of management and all support for international best practices. We need to ensure that certain things are done in a way that and support the way we do our things. There's no several efforts have been made in the past to lay allusion to the role importance in terms of the economic function transport in the past. Several statements, several clarification and confirmation have been made through series of studies, academic papers, and models. Like some that are credited to Wilfred in 1968, where he said, "There's no nation that can escape from transport." And he said that means there's no way that immobility, no, that perpetuates poverty. Immobility perpetuates poverty in the sense that there's no nation that can develop in whatever find itself without appropriate development of its transport infrastructure as it affects consumption function. That will tell you that transport consumption functions in terms enhancing effective availability of series of goods and services can be consumed in spite of having a lesser privilege, lesser economic advantage to be able to produce such goods in spite of world trade activities. So all sorts of goods are available for consumption, irrespective of whether you have capacity to produce or not. You can imagine in Africa, a consumption, most especially Nigeria, translation has made it relatively easy and much more better in a way because it's being consumed from all over the country of the world. You can imagine a good that you find somewhere you feel you cannot have it. I beg your pardon, you can have it within the next few minutes around. The way the world is operating is such that the world is shrinking and transport has made the world shrink. The distance between Europe and Americas, Africa are all reduced in size. But the efforts and approach to negating and connecting those places has reduced in a way that has made the world to become a global village. I can decide to go and join Dr. Omidiji in Canada after this presentation and have my dinner with him. It's all because transportation has made it relatively possible. The issue of production function of transportation is highly essential and very, very important, because transportation itself is more or less an input to the process of capitalization, in the sense of providing part of the components that we have in the division of labor every market. So you now cover that with transportation that supported movement of all manners of input, farm inputs, industrial inputs, educational inputs, health inputs. All these have been made possible. Imagine the COVID vaccination that is going on around the world, together with the politics, both bad and good qualities that is made. I mean, it is transportation that made it highly effective, and that has been how productive the function transport. Transportation has the capacity to support growth, and in itself is seen as a growth pole because it supports growth wherever it is found. It attracts growth wherever it's found because it has the capacity to develop whatever is found within the environment. It also assists in integrative function in terms of easy accessibility, easy coordination of locations, and all what have you. All these are been given, have been the support that we receive from transportation. Small indication, the sense of global prosperity and the situation on the continent is such that the consumption of goods in terms of livability, in terms of access to good quality of life, is contingent upon effective investment opportunities that is created by transport infrastructure. You can imagine the situation we find ourselves in developing countries, most especially Nigeria and Ghana. We are mostly at the receiving end because we depend on mono transport mode in terms of having over reliance on road transportation, most especially for our internal movement. All these are part of the situation that needed to be changed with the practice of good politics. There's no doubt that the situation around the world with the development of transportation has increased the tempo and the content of interaction between developed and developing world in a way as it affects exchange of goods and services across the globe. Without opportunity for effective transportation, exchange goods and services, the whole world will be what we have in a way as is. So the transportation is highly essential to allow for effective integration and interaction among all. I try as much as possible to look at some things that have been developed to support growth of transport, and also trade and make some allusion to the first development transportation in Africa and Nigeria as well. And I look at the Parfait Morel and Gold of 1960, which is based on its experience, on the experience on developing transport modes in Nigeria. We look at transportation development in Ghana, Nigeria, using about models of transportation, where they look, you see from the figure, you can see the pattern of development of transportation in Nigeria has been reduced about 6 major categories of is scattered us, have different nodes trying to develop on their own, and then there is expansion. Then the second stage goes to the penetration line, where the port concentration, port is developing within, then development of feeders, where there is need to have interaction with other ports, as it were, and of course, there's need for interconnection in the stage 4, complete interconnection, and that's the approach to transport development. But the bottom line of this solution is to be basically to give an solution to the process and transport development in both countries. And I want to say precisely that the pattern of development of transportation has gone beyond this particular level, as we have a more and well robust and more diversified approach to transportation development as it affects interaction across the shores of Nigeria and Ghana. And of course, there is no doubt that transport plays a catalytic role in the process as far as group and million of exchange in terms of development of agriculture, the pattern of exchange in terms of farm inputs in distant locations, the opportunities that are created to transport agricultural items for distances away, in spite of their ability, is as a result of the improvement has been brought to transportation. You can produce any type of refugees and vegetables. You can transport it to any part of the world at any point in time, but they will still remain fresh. However, there is a business that I fancy in Kenya. They call it horticultural business, where they export flowers to Europe on daily basis, and those flowers will be as they at the backyard of any house in Europe, and that tells you how transition appears to be very, very effective in the way of distribution, consumption, capacity improvement. Then, of course, we have industrial activities that has supported business industry. Imagine the issue, the prayer of commerce, how things are changing. You can see anything that is produced in any corner of the world. So any part of it there. And administration has been a wonderful, has been improved as a result of presence of transportation. It's very easy for the hands to reach the flowers and issues of political administration, issues of election. These are basic, even defense. That transportation of the sense would not be, it would be a thing that we explain. Education and health issues have all been taken into consideration and the measurement of growth in terms of the opportunity of transportation. As we all know, that transport is a universal phenomenon because it helps in the integration of the world economy in terms of improving the process and approach to complementarity in terms of exchange of goods and services with the regional differentiation as a result of the natural differentiation in resource allocation across the globe. So there is need for interdependence among nations for consumption to take place. And you all bear with me, the concept of international trade is based on the capacity for individual countries and nations to produce what they have in terms of economic advantage of producing. So invariably, if that is involved, it means that If I don't have the capacity to produce certain things, does not mean I cannot produce what I do not consume what I produce. So that is what brought about the need for exchange of goods and services. The bank initiating this process now look at the increased transport to establish the logistic commerce among countries of the world. And they came up with very vital information. And the way that we measure the impact of the direct and influence of transport infrastructure, level of productiveness made possible through the efficiency of transport infrastructure in terms of exchange of goods among the various world economy is something that marvels anybody. And they'll base it on 6 parameters. And this, they look at customs in terms of efficiency, in terms of border management, as regards clearance of goods. We all know what's happening in our enclave in terms of destruction, in terms of unnecessary delay and destruction of items brought in from our ports. And the call are aware of the privatization of the port is associated with some of the shortcuts that I've mentioned. But the transport Jamin, the procedure for moving those items it's acceptable, is ideal. You can imagine the situation we have in Nigeria and Ghana, where since the time of development transportation, most especially with the rail, has been in the front of movement of goods from seaport, has been regulated in background until recently the federal government started on the rail infrastructure. Everything has been on the road, which increases the level of danger involved in moving on road, seeing the each and extended rate of accident among those trucks. So the roads are turned to moving ports. We are buying all sorts of roads, all of vehicles carrying goods from the north to the south and vice versa, which are the major challenge. That is part of the infrastructure. What stopped the rail from picking an item from the seaport, either Port Harcourt, either Upper, and move on by rail, or even by water transportation as well? We need to look at the possibility of integrating our transport so as to reduce the carnage on our roads and make it relatively cheaper to merchants. Then the ease of arranging competition in terms of the cost of shipment. Cost of shipment to Nigeria is somewhat high, most especially in some part of Africa and Nigeria, and I believe it's in Ghana, because the situation is so precarious. And that's why you see the situation we find ourselves in as much are not competitive before the privatization anyway. But the situation still persists, where you find people taking advantage of clearing their goods from Cotonou, and they neglected the ports. You can imagine the number of ports we have in Nigeria, and yet People are not patrioticizing them because of the cost of shipment in terms of cost of importation from the port and some of the other things that involve in delay as much as we have it. In the trucking, in terms of the ability of in terms of quality of service. Then after track, so tracking your consignments from getting to your base. How do you track? Imagine after we are discussing my line call, and unfortunately, you can imagine that has been the situation. When you are tracking something from one location to the other, there is a network failure. You can imagine what will have happened before you hook up to find out what has been the situation. The way and manner by which the consignee and the shippers interact with themselves are part and parcel of what the bank combines together to come up with level of productivity of transport services in Africa and in the world as well. You can imagine a statement that was in recent time that the cost of doing business in Nigeria is not higher in a than when compared to any part of the world. There are a lot of stoppages there where you need to stop, ground below steaming or what have you, which can precisely can be linked to what our chairman of the day was talking about, the bad politics. That is bad politics, the way we do our things. So I try as much as possible to look at the pattern of the indexes that was released by the World Bank between 2007 and 2008. And I observed that the pattern of growth and the rating of African countries is somewhat very, very disappointing, most especially looking at the pattern of performance of Nigeria and Ghana is really disappointing. And in particular, the pattern of rating of there as dwindling. It starts from 2007 from 93 to 160, and Ghana is number 125. Guinea is leading in most cases in Africa in terms of all those basic information on custom, infrastructure, international shipments, and logistic competence. Imagine Cape Verde and Guinea leading Nigeria and Ghana. Like, you can imagine the situation. Even Togo is performing better than Ghana, even though Nigeria performed better than Togo in 2007. If you look at the 2018 performance of Nigeria, from 93, it dropped to 110. It dropped to 110. And these are not far-fetched from the situation we find ourselves. And Ghana moved to 106. You can imagine issues of politics, the bad politics in the way we handle transportation situation and policy. Imagine the situation with our road. Imagine the situation with transportation and issues of security. Really very, very appalling. The way we find ourselves here in Nigeria in particular, I don't know what Professor Charles is going to say about Ghana. People currently have developed phobia for traveling from their base to locations other than theirs, and yet there are a lot of activities to be conducted because of the fear of being kidnapped, the fear of being killed, and it's rather unfortunate that the politics and the politicians stand to be affected, aiding and abetting, because they could not come up with a precise and concise approach to making this in the board. It's rather, these are the things that made transport to become, definitely I'm sure that by 2019 report and further down, Nigeria probably will be at the base of the ladder but people are apprehensive of moving. Things are not working the way it should work. So there's no doubt that with the pattern of situation in terms of development and the need for it, we cannot jettison politics. But in the world of politics, non-politics is in the gives of slap my back, I slap back. You turn down my effort, I turn your effort. I've seen a case of allocation of infrastructure to places as a result of bad politics because someone somewhere from somewhere knows somebody that knows somebody that can produce certain item in a location, and because of that influence, he cited that facility in that location. And you can imagine the performance of our airport in Nigeria. Some of them are based on political distance to sack them there. That is why a good number of them will remain because the economic capacity of some location to generate appropriate capacity for their funding is very intense. So those are just of the parties we're talking about. So the way and manner by which the involvement of God has to come in, because the capital requirement for government of transport infrastructure is so huge that no individual take any knows that it is suicide. So it's only the government that can afford to do it and provide opportunity for such development to place, and such opportunity will be guided in a way. So I try as much as possible to look at issues which under circumstances would have been, if possible, the government does not take the full light on, in a sense, taking decision right at the right time. I think the construction of second Nigeria bridge with a whoop sum of 1 billion will have been possible without political decision. It's not possible. No individual can double even the federal government decision to do that. And you can imagine the situation and the plan of the Island Bridge in Lagos. It takes politics in terms of the huge car outlay. And I won't believe that Dr. Omidiji, given the presentation of our chairman of the day and some of the allusions I'm giving here, will probably change his mind and redefine his stand in the way the kind of policies that needed. In recent time, which has been mentioned also in the speech of the permanent secretary, the Minister of Education, that the decision of the federal government, the Executive Council of Nigeria, approved the extension of rail construction from Lagos, Kano, Sina to Maradi in the Nigerian Republic is predicated on routine economic commercial benefit, in as much as those countries are landlocked, they need to export and export their goods. So you can imagine no individual without political direction, in the proper sense of it, that no individual can take such decision. You can imagine the decision of the federal government to privatize the seaport as a result of bringing it back and allow it to function effectively on the basis of international best practices in the Haiti, was informed by desire to leverage the port productivity by encouraging private investment in port development. All these are very good political decisions. You can imagine we are all witnesses the situation we find ourselves with the eruption of Ebola and the current COVID-19 across the world. Beyond that, the government have not taken a decisive step. I want to believe that myself, the chairman of the day, I know Engineer Emmanuel and Ms. Charles would love to go and have this discussion in Canada. But considering the situation we found ourselves in COVID, there are government stipulated situation policy engagement on regional basis and continental boundaries. So it has affected in huge amounts and robust process of movement. You can imagine how many billions of dollars have been lost as of the inability of items people to about. I was speaking to a professor in Canada about a few weeks ago and was telling me the last time she was in her office was about a year ago. It's as a result of COVID. Medium like this. It is medium like this that has to truncate some of these negative trends of our inability to move out, as a result of this fear of being infected.
Interrupting you.
You can imagine the very associated with December, which has a series of political and policy decisions across the globe to enhance security among formation. So it takes a lot of good politics being played to enhance effective distribution of activities in area of movement and development of transport. Imagine the situation of budgeting allocation on an annual basis is more or less becoming a rhetoric, because they are more like a political statement that are made without adequate follow-up, because they give more information about financial robustness in and you see much and think much and nothing is in the way. Imagine the establishment of Guinea Airways and was flourished and was good in terms of the political will of the government, the state. And at the time when they needed to liquidate in 2003, there was political will to put it off. And that's the situation and the bane of the changes we are facing. And you can imagine some other activities of government. Look at what happened in Lagos State. Maybe that perhaps same phase of transition in the state. The stoppage of the under that condition.
Hello, Prof. Can you hear me, sir?
Go on.
Sir, please, you have 2 more minutes to round up, sir.
Yes, I'm round up now. So the issue of the state government, the thing was cancelled, federal government, when the military took over, and that you can imagine the situation we find ourselves with the urban production language, most especially in Lagos State, and the establishment of federal road safety is doing very well and fantastic, and the rate of among vehicles, among individuals, implications has been reduced to the barest minimum. It takes the federal government playing a good politics and the right politics, taking the right decision to enhance the situation we find ourselves. And of course, you discover that the way we find ourselves in Nigeria is such that today, I want to say precisely that certain efforts have been made to right the wrongs of the past in terms of bringing back from the whole thing that we need to do and communal facility rather than depending heavily on railway development in terms of road. There are opportunities across cities, given geographical opportunity that is offered in terms of presence of water transportation. I'm happy that Lagos is taking a due advantage such. I want to appreciate you all for listening to these comments and the discussion. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate the organizer again for involving this germane discussion on politics and transport development. God bless you. John, over to you.
Over to you, John. Over to you, John. John Emmanuel.
John.
John, over to you. Engineer John.
Is this still on?
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, it's back. It's on. Well, go ahead.
John, up to you.
Okay.
Okay, I think. Thank you that your paper is presented.
Who are we waiting for?
We are waiting for John.
Okay.
Let me put a call across to him.
What? Can everybody hear me from here?
Yes.
Well, if as soon as we wait for John, and then maybe his system is freezing up.
There are questions already.
Yes. We will for
Professor Gbadamosi.
Professor Gbadamosi, yes.
Yes, some questions have come up online already.
Yes, I saw some that
some of the members do want to ask him questions.
Yes.
Why is it take all the time?
Okay. Maybe we could have people put their questions as they have sent it.
Yes, because the time
and
limit
then,
is
to allow for time, we could invite Professor Adams. Is Professor Adams hearing me?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so they take the questions and answers together.
We can now have taken the question and answers together.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I start?
Yes, I believe you start. Please kick start. Let's move ahead.
All right then. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Okay.
Share your screen and move. Yes.
Thank you very much. And
yes, Prof.
I will stand on existing protocol to make my presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts on what is a very interesting topic. And thank you for the topic. Because I myself, over the last few years, I've been trying to ponder over this topic, and that is also the reason why we are starting a new course on transportation leadership, because there's no way you can devolve transport from leadership either of the institution or of the government. But more importantly, there is no way you can separate transportation in any country from the government. And politics is about activities that lead to governance. And in particular in Africa, you have everything is either for the government or paid for by the government or employed by the government or something like that. So there's no way you can actually do anything serious in Africa without the government. And that's how it is. And probably that's what we have to move away from. So I have 30 minutes. I hope you will not reduce my time. So I'm going to use 5 minutes, not more than 6 minutes, to speak about my center, because that's why I'm here. I mean, one of the reasons why you invited me is my center. So
yes,
I'll talk briefly about my center.
fantastic.
So that you know where I'm coming from. Then I will do justice to the topic as much as I can. All right, so I'm the director of the Africa Center of Excellence Regional Transport Research Center, Kumasi, or TREC for short. And let me also say that I'm standing on existing protocol, so I acknowledge all my speakers, the speaker and the earlier speakers, the former Corps Marshal, the first Corps Marshal. I'm sure we will have opportunity to meet because there's a lot we have to learn from the Federal Road Safety Corps, even as Ghana, and also from your experience. We have been following what you are doing at Transportation Growth Initiative, and I'm sure very soon when we are in Nigeria, we will have opportunity to work with you on something more regional because of the unique nature of your country and the where you stand in the center of things. But a few words about our center. It's actually Government of Ghana set up center by finance with money from the bank or the World Bank. The World Bank has given loan to my government and has given the money to me to set up a center because we won a competition among 100 universities in West Africa. We are located in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, very beautiful campus. You want to visit us one of these days. Now, our challenge as a center is that we are trying to contribute to sustainable development goals and at the same time build a good foundation for AU Agenda 2063. So we have a unique purpose to balance our activities so that we might be able to use the opportunity given us for the next 5 years to actually lay a good foundation for transport and integrated logistics, to tackle some of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Definitely what we do touches on almost every goal, but our concentration will be on safety, goal 3, and then we'll look at congestion and traffic management, which will be on goal 8. Then we'll look at infrastructure, goal 9. We'll look at sustainable communities, public transport, smart cities, and all of that. Now, for these things, we also have a parallel in the AU goals. So we have drawn parallels between the SDGs and the AU Agenda 2063 goals. Now, mind you, AU, African Union, will be 100 years in the year 2063. That is why they have this document. So for Africans, this document probably should supersede the AU 2030, SDG 2030, which is just 10 years away. And when you look at it that way, you may even lose hope. But if you realize that anybody working can use the opportunity afforded him to build a good foundation for the future, so that we can achieve 2063 for these young people. And every time I make a presentation, I talk about these young people. You know, they are the ones, the reason why we are doing all this. Okay. Now our vision as a center is to be the leading hub for training, for research, leadership in transport and mobility for West Africa. But we think that West Africa is too small for what we're trying to do. So we think about Africa more than West Africa. So this is our team. These are some numbers we are trying to train in 5 years, 47 PhDs, 95 MScs, and then 290 individuals should have attended our short courses in 5 years. And 30% of everything should come from the region outside Ghana, usually with some scholarship or sponsorship, and then make high-level impact publications. We have 4 main themes: one on intelligent transport, resilient infrastructure, multimodal infrastructure, public transport, and sustainable logistics. And these are partners across the region. You will see that our partners cut across West Africa, East Africa, all over. And these are students who just came in January. These are some partners having different engagement with in Ghana and also across the region. This is a typical teaching environment for the students. This is a mentorship session for some female students with their mentor. And this is typical orientation of new students and some of the facilities we have. These are our numbers as it stands now. These are the countries where people come from and where we have visited or about to visit. So far, we have people from 6 countries in West Africa, 5 countries in West Africa plus Kenya, but we hope to cover about 10 countries by early next year when we are able to do our visits to those with the smaller stars. And we have programs in interdisciplinary programs in transport systems. That's the name of the program that we are currently revamping to apply for the accreditation, both local and international accreditation. Then we will have a course in transport, logistics, and finance. Then we have our MSc course in transport systems with options in urban transport operations and infrastructure engineering and management. Then we working with our geography department to set up a master's in transport geography. But we do have a course coming up in January 2022, which will be on transport leadership, mostly 60% plus online, and then 30–40% will be in person on our campus. This is where we are as a center. This is our digital room where a lecturer is giving lectures. We are always on webinars. Our students, most of our students are online, and we do really appreciate them. Almost 50% of the audience today are all from our center. We have visiting faculty from all over. This is somebody from the University of Cape Town, from Zuid giving lecture. Thank you for your attention. Now I'm going to go to my substantive presentation, and then I will unshare, then I'll share so that we can continue. Thank you. So I will go to my substantive presentation now. All right, thank you. So in this presentation, I'll be talking about, I'll give an intro, then I'll talk about the role of transport in society. I want to appreciate Professor Badamosi for doing a great job telling us all that he said, so that I don't even have to bore you trying to repeat most of what he said. So I will try and talk more about the role of the politics and why politics cannot be separated from transportation, but the role that it must play and how that we need to do the right thing and the effects that it has on the system. But I'm not going to dwell on Ghana because I think the problems are common across Africa, across West Africa, and across most of Africa. So I'll give you a little bit about the state of the transport sector, roads, rail, airports, ports in Africa, based on the literature. Then I will talk about politics and how it influences the challenges of transportation. I will show you what we call success stories, but really they are not success stories. But I'll tell you why they are not real success stories. Then I'll tell you the opportunities we have in spite of the challenges or the gaps we have. And then I'll make some concluding statements on that. So where do we stand? Like I said, you cannot separate transport from society. And society needs to be governed. Therefore, by the very nature of our lives and the way communities are governed, you cannot separate their mobility from the way transport is handled. And indeed, the more mobile people are, the better you can govern them, or economic opportunities they may have, which Professor has done a good job on that one already. Now, transport is also responsible for the development of civilizations from old times. I mean, from the Roman days, pre-colonial Roman days, all the way up to now. Transport has been and will always be the main driver of development. And it's important that you can draw a parallel between the economic development of a country and its transport system. So the more people are able to move and reach opportunities, and they are not excluded, and they are able to be freely mobile and do what they want to do, the more people are more likely to earn more income, reach more opportunities, and or things like that. Now, so what is the general role of transport in society? It has an economic role. And remember, the politicians are talking about the economy. Transport also has an economic role. So you cannot separate the two. Because transport allows people to access goods and services in an area and makes people be able to generate goods and sell them over their country, the region, or wherever they go. And therefore, it's a major enabler of the economy, a catalyst to growth in the economy. Now, the more efficient transport system you provide or in terms of supply, it helps to even regulate the prices of goods so that people can bring things all the way from China in no time. Some people can crisscross the world. And for Africa, if we want the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to work, we need to pay attention to transportation. Now, transport also has a social role. Why? Because we need to get together, we need to go to funeral, we need to visit our friends, and all the things. And the mobility of a settlement determines the pattern and the size and its growth over time. So you cannot, transport has that social role. And that is one of the reasons why, even though it may not be economic to run a bus service to the rural area or to build a certain type of road, we have to build it. Why? Because the people of the country the government has to promote social cohesion within the country. No one should be excluded from activity because he's poor or he's in the rural area or things like that. Also, transport in the urban center facilitates growth. Whenever people cannot walk longer distance, transport technology facilitates their movement. And therefore, transport it's an enabler in the growth of urban centers. And that is why, if you look at it, the more technological things we have, the more people are moving longer distances. And even in our country, you see that when we have not built the road network to the remotest parts, people are using motorbikes, three-wheelers, and all that to use the existing footpaths and things that we don't authorize to be able to participate in economic activity. That is instructive, which means that we cannot borrow the Western ideas or planning modules of transport because we have our own challenges. Now, political role of transport. Now, this is different from politics. The world is divided into political units. So we have countries, we have cities, that's why we have municipalities, we have national government, we have regional government, we have worldwide government. And to govern properly, you need a transport system. Before the internet came, everything had to travel by road or by air or by some other means. Fortunately, with the advent of the internet and the computing power, that has reduced. But in Africa, it is still the main way government can reach all the units within the country because, as you all know, even in our capital, the internet doesn't work well. So people always have to travel from one part of the country to the other or from one country to the next because that is the only way to access education. Ministers have to travel all over the country. So transportation plays an important role in political governance, and you cannot take it away. Also, if you want to do good administration, you need good transport systems, as I've talked about. Then political choices. The fact that government has to now say that we will build this this road, we will build that, means that the primary function in all this is that for government sometimes wants people to move rapidly across the country to be able to attend to emergencies for the security of the country. All these are political duties of government to ensure that when we are being attacked, our troops can move and then we can move rapidly in case of emergency, when there's a pandemic and things we can't reach certain places. We have to bring different systems that will allow us to be able to do that. That is why, for example, in Ghana, government is using drones to send supplies of blood and other things and even COVID tests to laboratories, so that the test laboratory may not be everywhere, but when the samples are taken by drone technology, they are also able to send them and get the results in no time. So you see that governments have a lot to do in the political space when it comes to transportation. Then there's also the environmental role, which is usually externalities of transport, where it touches on safety and security. More people die in Africa on our roads, more than COVID pandemic. That is a sore story. We need to sit down, and government must show commitment, willpower, and do something about it. The way they've spent a lot of money on COVID, meanwhile, people have died for decades, far more than COVID, and yet we have not spent the same amount of money or shown the same commitment towards the people. I don't know whether it's because they think it's poor people that are dying, but we've got to sit up. Politicians got to sit up, because you cannot use the people's power to selectively treat COVID patients and leave others to die. Same time, if you look at our statistics for the COVID, in 3 months, more than 700 people have died in Ghana from road crashes. But the whole COVID period, we don't have the same amount of number of people dying. And yes, government is not giving them money to fix the road network. This is a politics. This is how our politics, the politics that the previous speaker talked about, the wrong type of politics. But you know, that kind of politics is usually based on naivety, lack of understanding, and we've got to refuse it, and we have to find a way to refuse it. But beyond that, we import used vehicles and motorcycles that pollute the environment, and then it makes a lot of noise in our environment. That is why all of us shout in Africa. Haven't you seen that we shout? When we are talking, we shout, because the ambience already is saturated with high intensity noise from transport, and you have to shout above it for your brother to hear you. Of course, it consumes a lot of energy, and most of our countries don't have sufficient energy supplies. All right, good. So what are the drivers of transportation growth? What is occasioning that? The number one for the next foreseeable future is urbanization, rapid urbanization coupled with urban sprawl. People are moving to urban areas which don't have the infrastructure to receive them. And when they come, they want to live in places where they can easily move about and go and then do some menial jobs. So they will not live in the periphery. They want to come to the inner city. And as they come there, it creates a lot of pressure on the transport system, which already is not well organized, very informal, inefficient. And we are going to have a lot of youth. We already have a lot of youth, but Africa's population is going to be more youthful than anybody in the world. In the last 2 decades, our economies have been doing very well, but our people are not benefiting because of inefficiencies like congestion or exclusion. Where the job is, you can't go there because it's too far from you and things like that. But there is high ICT penetration, which is good because it can help us to leapfrog some of the barriers. Then Agenda 2063 is talking about Africa having world-class infrastructure, and therefore we need to be careful also about climate effects. We cannot gloss over them. But by the year 2063, Africa will have 2.6 billion people, 1.2 billion youth. Prosperous and United Africa is the vision. Safe, reliable, and resilient transcontinental infrastructure is what we are looking for. If you look at my first slide, I tried to show you the continental infrastructure that already exists, and there's virtually nothing. These are scenes from our cities. We have things like traffic control center, beautiful in Ghana, but you also have this kind of situation very common in our cities. You have congestion, you have this type of, and all this is culmination of all the factors that I've enumerated above. Now, so some numbers about the systems in Ghana and across Africa. Transport. The roads in most of our country carry 80% of all goods and 90% of all passengers. That is the average from the World Bank statistics. But in Ghana, for example, 95% of passengers are carried by by road, and then over 90% of goods are carried by road. If we take our road network, 53% are unpaved as an average, including South Africa. But if you take Ghana, you will notice that the paved network is about 30% and 70% is unpaved. And this kind of statistic cuts across. Some countries have just maybe 10%, 20% paved. Then the rest is all unpaved. That's not good enough. Who is in charge? The politician. Because they choose which road will be done, which road will not be done. They choose which one will be maintained, which one will not be maintained. They choose which one is priority, which one is not priority. And most of these things are not based on systematic data and informed decision making that we all know should be the case. If you look at the safety issue that I talked about, more than 6 people die every day on the roads in Ghana for the last almost 10 years. But COVID came and they made substantial investments and they're doing everything that they want to do because of COVID. And yet they've done not even 10% of that for people who are dying on the road. Our road network is not different. Our ports, airports, we build, airports, and sometimes you wonder, instead of maintaining the existing one, like in Ghana, they maintained the existing one. Then in less than 1 year, they built a new one and became the one that was maintained with hundreds of millions of Ghana cedi became redundant and is sitting there as a white elephant. That, for example, is a political, that's more politics than judgment, technical, systematic judgment. We have 2 container ports, but Africa doesn't have much to boast of, actually. Now, I'll talk about ICT because I said that we can leverage ICT and emerging technologies to do something good about transport. And if you look at it, Africa is the fastest growing in terms of the use of mobile phones, and 8 in 10 Africans have a mobile phone. And these days that we're talking about Internet of Things and transport and driverless systems and so on, it's a good thing, and we need to watch that. If internet contribution to GDP, and most African countries are doing okay or not doing too badly, but we need to study it and see how we may capitalize on that to create more efficient transport systems. But all this is something that we need to get government to understand so that they don't continue to play politics. Politics the way they have played it. All right, so how have politics affected growth of transportation? Generally, the first decade before independence, the colonial masters usually had their plans, and Professor talked about that. Then when we took over at independence, our government were very excited. They started building highways and maintaining the existing rail networks. But at a point, they realized that these rail networks were just transporting minerals to the ports, and therefore they were not so interested. And many of them were allowed to deteriorate to a point of no repair. But we built a lot of roads, and that is where the real politics started. Why? Because the African politician wants to see a new road, because they said when you maintain a road, the constituent will say you didn't build it. So if you paint a house, they will say we like the one who built the house, not the one who painted it. And with that kind of attitude from the electorate, this kind of politics that we are doing will continue, because the people always say, oh, this one was built by government A, you only maintained it, so go and build your own. And as long as that is happening, you will see that people will not maintain, and we always have to build a new one. That, for me, is the bottom line, and this is the genesis of all this politicking, which has spoiled everything. And has it helped us? I don't think it has helped us. We're only going around in circles, building the same infrastructure and maintaining the same infrastructure. That is why there's proliferation of motorcycles, Okadas, and all those things across Africa. Now, where is my evidence? In 1988, I saw this report for the first time when I was doing my master's in Imperial College, because my thesis, I was looking at road deterioration. And in June 1988, 3 years 5 years after this report was written, I was doing a master's and I was reading it. And this report identified technical issues, institutional issues, financial issues, and there are a series of them. But central to all the things that they talked about, technical, institutional, were what they call external factors. And these external factors really were things, government influence on the technical, on the institutional, and on the financial administration of road authorities. So, and I'm going to explain to you in detail in my next slide. So, but generally, after we have governed ourselves since independence, you see that there is a pandemic of road safety. Our trotros or matatus or whatever are not efficient because we have not put any system in place to make them efficient. Our road network is largely unpaid. Our cities are congested. Our road conditions are poor. We don't have multimodal connections in our infrastructure. And there's proliferation of unsafe modes, two-wheelers and three-wheelers, which we don't like, but they have to be there. Why? Because we have not done the right things. And the politicians have taken us on a bus tour, and they have not, after 50 plus years in most countries, we don't know what we have done. And the people have now decided to introduce their own modes and then run them against the law in Ghana, but still they are doing it, and nobody can arrest them. So what are these factors that I'm talking about? Technical, institutional, financial, and politics. Lack of continuity of projects. I told you, when Party A does the road and it doesn't finish, Party B will not continue. So you see that technically we know that we need to continue, but politics is affecting the technical job function. So they come and then they select new projects so that there is no systematic way of selecting projects. It's all based on the politics and the politicians' ideas, and it's based on the minister and what the minister thinks. That cannot be. We have not developed sufficient local standards because we have not invested. So we built roads for many years, but if you look at our standards, every time we are borrowing from elsewhere, and therefore we are not able to optimize our local materials. So our road costs are very expensive. Same for other things. We don't use the appropriate tools. Our contractors are not adequately resourced and cannot compete for our own projects. So we always give it to Chinese or some other people. Inadequate research capacity, local research capacity. Our training is very narrow. If you look at a study that we recently did with the Volvo Research Foundation, we saw that most African universities are learning very narrow scope of their training programs, either transport technology or highway engineering, but very little about mobility and understanding the mobility in the urban space and the interconnection between transport economics and all the other things that you need to understand. And without that, you can't make any good judgment in that space. Let me jump to institutions. Institutions, right from those days, governments set up institutions, but does not resource them. So the institutions exist. Sometimes they don't have the tools. Sometimes the men are employed, but they are not resourced. Sometimes they are less motivated, or they are not allowed to do their job. Then we have a lot of political interference in appointment of people. Sometimes government, politicians. One time I was preparing made a presentation, and our senior minister asked me, so who is corrupt, the engineer or the politician? And that was a very difficult question. You know, there are all these engineers sitting there and the politicians sitting there. And he wanted me to answer who is corrupt, the engineer or the politician. Of course, I gave him the answer. If the engineer is not independent enough and he uses political influence to sit on the seat, then he will dance to the tune of the politician. And therefore, it's the politician that initiates that activity, and then the engineer dances to it. And both of them indulge in it in that case, unfortunately. In the payment of contractors, it works the same way. They interfere. Selection of contractors and consultants, it happens. Prioritization of projects happens. Spending decisions, and even we don't have enough funds. Yes, we don't have it. But if you look at the way we we don't maintain what exists and then we do a new one. It affects our finances. Utilization of we haven't encouraged the private sector much because government is the main person and it likes it that way so that it can dictate everything that happens in the transport sector. Lack of prudent maintenance policies, lack of transparent systems, and then how politics have. We did a study by our students, and then we're trying to find out how politics affect the selection of projects. And actually, a lot of these points are coming from studies that our students have done. And they are not things that I've written them from anybody, but these are things that sometimes the students do their thesis and then they ask, so which of these factors affect your selection of projects? They ask engineers and the general public and policymakers and so on. But politics, for example, they overcommit every budget. All African governments make a budget, but they don't follow it. They spend far more than that. So they make the budget for cosmetic reasons, but they don't intend to follow it. They make their budget, after it's approved, they just go and do their own spending. And then there's no accountability to the people. So no budget discipline. Projects are based on promises. Whenever you see an African government going to the rural areas, there's a long convoy. And I've asked myself, what are they going to do? There's a minister for transport, minister for roads, minister for everything. All they are supposed to do with their directors is to take notes so that when the president says, we will do this road, they know it's not in the budget. They have to go and prepare that contract. They say, we will do that water supply. Then they write it. So they know the thing is not in the budget. They go and say it. Then the technocrats are forced to put it in, award the contract, which has not been prepared. So it can never be financed. That is why you have a litter of all uncompleted projects all over Africa in our countries. At least in Ghana, it's very common. Sometimes the projects themselves are gold-plated, too expensive. We make plans, but we don't follow them. Over-reliance on external donors, because we have not looked inside the country to see what we can get from ourselves, how we can mobilize local capital. Now, I'm about to finish, but let me give you a simple thing to buttress what I'm saying. All that we have been doing is like this. Let's say I have a simple asphalt road. When the road is actually, oh, sorry, I wanted to use my pointer view. Oh, here's a pointer. I want to show my pointer. Where is it? Okay, pointer options. Okay. Sorry about that. So this is the road. Supposing that this is the good condition road, and then with normal maintenance, it's coming as we use it. If it's supposed to last 15 years or 20 years, it's coming like this. At a certain point, we are supposed to do what we call an overlay, and then we rejuvenate it, and then to go like this, another cycle. This is the normal way a practitioner has been trained. But you know what we do? We don't do this. It is, I can count how many roads in a lifetime have seen this strategy being applied. We are like, what does it mean? When you allow and you didn't, and here if I'm going to spend $1, by the time you get here, you spend $4, $4 to $5. So what we are saying is that the reason why our money is not enough is that instead of doing something that $1 would have solved the problem, we prefer to spend $6 or $5 all the time. And this is a very unfortunate situation for a continent that is poor and yet will not do the right thing based on data, based on science, based on knowledge. Are there success stories? Oh, yes, there are success stories. But as I can see from the statistics across Africa, most we got a small part of the network in Lagos. You have the and the rail in Dar es Salaam or whatever the city that you have. That is only one. You go to Djibouti, there's a rail line all the way to Ethiopia, there's a rail line all the way to Djibouti. But the real issue is that the system is and we've got to do well. So we have good
Hello.
Yeah, he's freezing.
I think he has gone off.
Yeah, he's freezing. Yeah.
Technology has thrown him off the feet.
Yes.
But I think his paper is fully delivered. It's a
Yes.
well-packaged paper. And we appreciate.
If he comes up, he could just conclude.
Yes.
While we take questions, you know, we agree, while you two you went off, that questions should be put together. And
Yes.
we could have but chairman is back on here. So let
Chairman
the
is back. Let him go ahead.
Let him handle
Chairman,
it.
sir.
Chairman, sir.
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're hearing you, sir.
Okay. Questions, if there are questions, we quickly take them because we have stayed longer than we expected.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are questions in the chat room. Let me read them out. The presenters who are available can go ahead. Professor Badansi is on the platform, and the questions are actually for him. He can be taking his question while we wait for Professor Adams to join us. Do I have your permission, Chairman, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So there are a set of 3 questions from Ade Adekunle. Yes. How can, as professionals in transportation, I hope Professor Badamosi is listening, sir.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay. This question goes to you. He said, how can we as professionals in transportation influence government to do what they need to do? That's number 1. Number 2 says, transportation in Nigeria can be very complex, and the Nigerian political environment handles this complex very badly, very poorly, especially in the area of corruption, in procurement, maintenance, and construction, which is what Professor Adams has also put forth. How can professionals in transportation provide a needed roadmap to address these complexities that we are confronted with? And then number 3, I hope do you note all of this, sir? And then number three says, since transportation is associated with capitalism, according to Professor Kitty, and given our social and cultural complexity, what will be the right method of funding transportation development projects in Nigeria without involving government? Those are the questions, so you can answer them, and the chairman is here to provide support.
Okay.
Without involving government, that is without involving the policy.
Thank you very much. I want
Maybe
to...
involving.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Do I have your attention?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Kunloye. All right, thank you, Chairman. Well, the only thing is this: we are all part of the government. But when they say, when the definition of politics I learned when I was growing up in the university, some politics taught is that you define politics, the government of people for the people. I think that the government was at a point in time we are part of it. And the only way we can influence the thought of government is to cry out and comment either positively or negatively, whatever the government does. And that's we can shape the feeling and the thought of government. And in as much as on every 4 years or 5 years, as the case may be, we influence the change of governance through our voting time. We can vote in the right person. Like the chairman said at the onset, that we know those that are likely to play good politics, and we know those that are likely to play bad politics because of their pedigree. We know the pedigree of the good ones, and we know the pedigree of the bad ones. But because of the fact that money exchanges hands, is the winner that's the highest bidder wins the day. So we need to be more aggressive about being part of the change of governance, make sure we are part of it. Some of us are afraid of the way they play the politics with intrigues, with issues relating to hooliganism and all what have you. I think we should try as much as possible to bring in some gentlemanly approach to doing things, so that some people with civil ideas, civil opinion, that are very civil in their approach to things, have a way out. You know, the politics, they go about with hooligans, with guns in hand and matches. How can a person that is interested in politics be willing to hit his head and stay inside in such a location? It's not possible. So we need to be part of it and vote out those that have not done. And the issue of money and hands not be the hinting. Thank God we have all sorts of political affiliations and professional affiliations. We can come in through pressure group to pressurize the government to do the right thing. Like for instance, I'm trying to do something currently. The road that leads from Akure passing through the university road is so congested, and most cases you find to pass through it, especially in the midday weekend, you find it difficult. I am trying to call the attention of the government to do something about balancing that road. It's rather unfortunate because the road that carries traffic the northern part to the south, and to south of the southeast, and yet nothing is done, and it's still narrow. We should look ways of pressurizing the government to do that thing. In the handling, the poor hand project, you just discover that human beings, projects are made by human beings. And projects are also
my prof is having challenge again.
Point in time, when things are done in our place, we should prognose. Are you not hearing me?
Yeah.
Hello?
It's cracking.
There? Oh, I think it's
the network.
Okay, do we have Professor Adams back on the platform? Hello, Professor Adams.
Are you hearing me? Hello?
John. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Professor Adams is back.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Yes,
hello,
I can hear
Professor.
me. Okay. Chairman.
Yes, I'm here.
Professor Adams is back. Can we have him to conclude?
Well, if there is time, yes.
Two slides more than I finish.
Questions should also be put before him.
Okay.
So they can answer them.
He's back.
Hello.
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 So I was just trying to conclude.
Yes.
Hello. Can anybody hear me?
I was just trying to conclude. If I go through these slides, some of the questions will be answered. Hello? Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
All right, then, good. So, having said all the things, what is the role of government in transportation? Government definitely has a role, but it is the orientation, as I alluded to.
Hello? Hello,
Yes,
hello.
can you hear me? Yes, please. Can you hear me? Hello? Please, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you.
We can hear
we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So government has a role, but government's role has to be limited to the legal and regulatory framework, and government must avoid direct participation as much as possible. So government needs to create the institutions, the structures, and then not interfere with their operations. And that is what our governments are failing to do. And as long as, you see, we can make case study successes, but if you want a system-wide improvement, consistent system-wide improvement, we have to make the institutions work. And government has to be a regulator, an enabler, not more than that. We need to improve private sector participation so that government can take a little bit of backstage. So we can make the legal framework for BOTs and all those type of concession arrangements for different things. And there are ways to do that. Even the West are doing that. We need to support research and training. I said to you that our training is inadequate. We don't, most of the papers we are written, excuse me, they may look okay for citation, but there's not much in them to help our indigenous development. And our researchers need to repurpose their research to ensure that we can benefit from them to make local changes and standards. We need to leverage transport to create jobs, because we have the youth. Transport can create a lot of jobs in whatever mode you think about. We need to leverage it to create jobs, but use local resources, local people, and locally developed capacity and technologies. We have to leverage long-term local capital for transport investment instead of going to Chinese and all these banks that give you all the conditions. And for that, there are aspects of our economy that we have not really thought about carefully, but can give the leading for us to be able to do that. We have to build sufficient local content for transport projects. And what are my concluding statements? We have built sections and case study roads, but transport needs to be better oriented toward enhancing human and social capital in our countries. That we haven't done, but that's the ultimate project development goal for any project that we have done. What does it mean? Transport must be an enabler for communities to leverage their knowledge, either to acquire knowledge or leverage the knowledge and skills to increase their productivity and the wealth of the society they live in. That should be the ultimate goal of everything that we do. The more we do projects and we don't finish, this will never be achieved. Transport must also foster social inclusion, equity, justice, safety, and security, and build relationships for collective societal benefits. Thank you. So I'm done. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Hello, John. Hello. Hello, John.
Hear me or somebody?
Yes, okay.
Hello.
The
Hello.
questions.
Somebody read the questions out.
Hello, John.
No, we could take.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Hello.
Professor Badamosi. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
you are back.
I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finish up on that question quickly.
Yes, I want to finish up on them. For instance, the poor handling of projects, it should try as much as possible to be involved in the process and execution of such projects, and also encouraging the government to plan with, not plan for. In most cases, the government sits at the top power and directs activities there without knowing the passion of what they're doing. Then the record of guys that are qualified in terms of professionals. We have turned out a good number of professionals in transportation and a number of people are well qualified to be able to people into positions. And I want to advise that as government take issues of health to consideration, issues of legality in terms of appointment of Chief Justice of the Federation, without being a lawyer, you can never be near that. Without being a car doctor, you can never be the Minister of Health anywhere. Why is it that someone that read transportation cannot be leading the transport industry? That will give you an insight to the better way to get and promote better policies in transportation. But when you put somebody that read this language because he knows somebody that knows somebody that got him appointed, you leave someone that has unprecedented level of knowledge and professionalism in transportation out. So that is where the bane of the problem is. Let's appoint people that are qualified in positions and utilize the people that have been produced.
Is it the question?
That will help.
Is this question? Are you giving us the question? Are you giving us the question, or you're giving us the answer or comment?
I'm giving you the answer.
He's giving us answer.
Okay, all right.
I'm giving you answers. I've answered those questions.
Yes. So, now, what about the questions for Professor Adam? John, Engineer John, is he there?
While you are looking for John, let me make a comment on that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Certainly, very, very certainly, this urge to put an astute medical person as Minister of Health, a very good person to be Minister of Works, who maybe had been an engineer, a transportation expert to be Minister of Transport. You are only exposing the inefficiencies in the system. For instance, the ministry or the department of government is not run by the head of those establishments, except they're going to stay there for years. They come in, like Bola Ige would say, as birds in flight. They fly through. The day they come in, they know they will go out in 1 year or 3 years' time, okay? And sometimes they usually go out faster. The departments must have policies, programs, and projects which determine what to do. And government, through politics, can only say, this is our vision, this is what we want. It can't be advised. There is not an amount of having the correct person who knows everything there. What happens after 2 years, 4 years, when he leaves? You go and bring another professor, come and do it. You must distinguish between those two. The system is not good, and the system cannot be corrected just by putting one person commissioner or person minister at the head.
Okay.
Well, I quite appreciate that comment, but the question is, even the people that are civil servants that are working in those ministries, they are less qualified people. So go and check the pedigree of the qualification.
We can start to populate them with qualified people.
Yes, with people with knowledge about transportation.
Yes. Yemi, I know when you study transportation urban something in a Unilag,
yes,
you're supposed to key into one aspect where you will use that knowledge. And the political head of that place could be anybody. Okay? And then the minister is not supposed to do anything other than to implement the programs of the
technocrats.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Of the ministries.
Ministry. Yes.
Okay. Run by experts and technocrats.
Yes.
And of course, to fulfill the mandate and manifesto of his party, the party may have said, "I will create 50,000 kilometers of roads." So he goes there to make sure they do that. He doesn't need to know how they do that.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the best ministers of power in Nigeria were lawyers. Okay, I won't mention them, so I don't mention a man's name 2 times in a small program like this. So please go ahead.
So What about the questions for Professor Adams?
No question from.
Any question for Professor Adams?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Dr. Adewale Akande from Barcelona.
Go ahead.
I just want to react to what the chairman said now as regard the appointment of a Minister of Transportation to head the ministry and all this issue of getting our transportation system in Africa the best one, or to be effective and efficient, so that I can develop the continent. There was a time I observed something when I got to, there was a time I traveled to UK in 2019. I got to Stansted Airport. When coming out, hello sir, I hope you are listening.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I got out, I observed something that I have not seen in the last 7 years that I was in the UK. I just like 7 years ago, I've seen difference because getting out to go and pick bus or taxi. I saw redevelopment of everything. I keep on asking myself, within short time, these people have already developed it. But I just say, what is happening in our country? That moment, I just picked my phone to check. How okay is this one Amechi? And I check his TV. I just see in English. I'm seeing, and I later I said, let me check who heading the transportation system here. The transportation minister and transportation minister. Yeah, I checked the UK, I checked the Canada, I checked everybody. All of them have something to do with transportation. I don't think there's a way, even if they have their the political class or the ruling, they have their party, they have their program, they have, and the person that we're going to head it, the area, the department is. It's not somebody that is have all the quality, all the requirement to be there. They have a problem. That's why I don't borrow the idea that it doesn't matter who heads the department station, it doesn't matter who heads the sports station. That's where we are getting it wrong in Africa. Because I checked about 6 countries immediately. I same time before getting to before boarding the bus.
Well, you did not check those who are inside it. They use technology which that minister does not know about. They use IT and they use AI, and the minister does not know about it. They are not saying to you, listen, because this is a very critical thing.
Very, yes.
Correct. They are not saying that you must look for a wrong person to do it.
No.
Okay?
Yes.
We are not saying that you have the opportunity to get a doctor to be minister of health. I'm not saying go and look for a barber. Okay? I am saying that these people are birds of passage. They don't stay. And if things are run correctly, they only implement what's on ground. And implementation does not mean you must be an expert in the area. Those who are doing the work are the experts. Those who are doing the policies are the experts, and they are the one to do it. If you now bring somebody else who has that knowledge, it makes it go easier. But that alone does not do it. I am not saying, I know people do that. You need the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy to be an IT compliant person. It makes it easier, okay? But he does not formulate policy by himself. The minister, the head, does not formulate policy by himself. He does not conjure policy. And when he leaves, he leaves. The other person who comes now does not come up and do his own policy. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's not as if do not give them the job. That's not saying that.
Okay.
No, I'm not even against you, sir. I'm just saying what I've seen, and I've
no. Yeah, you are correct. In the,
what I've seen about the issue of our even just to get to our sport ministry as well. There are a lot of things are doing very badly. You can see what is happening to even to our sponsorship system, our sport system in Nigeria. There are a lot of things. How can you put somebody that doesn't have any idea? It doesn't matter. All international best practices, you put the right person in the right place. Even if he's going to spend a week, if he's going to spend a month, there's no idea, there's no international idea that you should put somebody that doesn't know a particular something, even if you are going to spend a week. That's where we are getting it wrong. I'm just saying it with all clarity. Because I've discussed with other people, why you didn't put somebody that doesn't know anything there. Even when you are sleeping, you are thinking about transportation. When you're laughing, when you're doing something, you see some of these people, we are here. I've seen some people, some ministers, some functional, some people that play posts in Nigeria. When they come to abroad, when they come to Spain here, or they don't even do something. They don't even do something to know. Okay, this thing I have to bring it back to my country. That's why,
Doctor.
We should be very careful. Yes, sir.
Dr. Adewale, okay. I think we have noted that point seriously.
Very important.
Let's allow Christopher. Christopher is trying to raise a question.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you so much. You may have forgotten, I am Chibo, the transportation engineer in Abuja, too. And I've been working in Abuja all these days and been following you. I thank you for being here today. You made mention about the leadership of ministries. The problem we have in Africa is this, that we do not know that traffic is a bandit. This is a big problem in Africa. Traffic is a function of bandit. A theory that developed in 1954. We have transportation professionals. The issue is that the politicians are not listening to them. A good example for having the right person at the right ministry is the issue of the length of railway, reservation for railway standards. Do you know that some ministers do not know the standards that you can accept on the railway development? They will ask you, please, I need to build, I need the length of the reservation. These are very serious issues. And then again, the issue of having so many ministries handling transportation is also a misnomer. If you check the countries of the world, you find out that you have one cabinet minister taking care of anything movable. We need to do that here in Nigeria. The Ministry of Works should actually be an agency of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. The Ministry of Aviation should actually be an agency of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, because they are drawing from the same market. What they do when they're defending their budget is they all struggle to get more money to the other. That is why your railway is not working, because they neglected the railway. They work, taking everything. The politicians are interested in roads to their villages and all what. So the money meant for rail development, they said no. Oh, please provide me a road, because they are going in the next 4 years and they are coming back. So I think we should. I'm happy that I'm invited in this discourse. For Adams, I am so pleased, to hear that, you have a Center for Transportation Studies. We are trying to develop such a scheme at Enugu, the Enugu State Department, what do you call it? University of Science and Tech, urban transportation. Because in Nigeria, I mean, it is embarrassing that we are still having the problem we're having in Lagos with congestion after the cement armada of the 90s, and we are still complaining of we could not resolve one issue, just decongest Lagos ports. And we are building more ports in Lagos area without even rail connectivity being planned. Adams, I'll reach you. Thank you.
Okay, John.
Thank you, sir.
Take it up from there. Any other question, John? John? Engineer John?
I think John is probably not there.
He's there.
Okay.
John is not audible.
Your microphone is not working, John.
Let unmute.
Yes, I can hear you now. Is it
now
clear?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, I was going to ask Professor Charles Adams from NUTS, Ghana. Would you please clarify for us, given the situations we have in Nigeria, and of course, Professor Gbadamosi is supposed to answer part of this. It's a situation where in Nigeria, for instance, only 18 states have ministries of transportation. A majority of the states, the entire transport is just a small unit, a department in the Ministry of Works, for instance, which is what a number of countries calls the Ministry of Infrastructure. So transport as a whole is just a unit in the Ministry of Works. And to that extent, I have interaction with one of the states and discovered that even the unit called the transport unit only have the director, who is an engineer, and have 2 staff. One is a transport professional, and then one is a clerical staff. Outside that, there is no single professional. And for that reason, perhaps that is responsible for the nature of transport in our cities across Africa. Could you put this in perspective with regards to Ghana? And then, of course, Professor Gbadamosi can also give us an idea how that has perhaps affected the nature of transport, where institutional frameworks are not sufficient with professionals to determine how transport go in our cities. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, John, Engineer John, and thank you, other contributors. I want to state emphatically that, you see, you can discuss the problem or the symptoms of the problem. Some of the discussions are the symptoms of the problem. And that is why my presentation, I've tried to go to the root of the problem. Because if you don't understand the root of the problem, you can only try to solve the symptoms of the problem. And the symptoms may go away, but it will appear in another way. And that is why I put my factors into technical, institutional, financial, and politics. Now, what you are asking is institutional. Do we have the institutional structures there? The answer is no.
No.
Because for a very long time, of course, we cannot compare to Europe and America, because they have had hundreds of years of development. Remember that. So let's also be careful not to make that comparison, because they evolved over a very long time. And that is the reason why I said that we need to learn the best lessons and leapfrog. We don't need to go through the same cycle of 100 years, 200 years, because there is enough evidence that has been generated that from which we can learn and leapfrog where we are to where we're going. Now, I usually don't want to compare Nigeria to Ghana or any other country in Africa for one or two reasons. Because one state in Nigeria is bigger than a country like Ghana or Sierra Leone or what have you.
Or
so,
Gambia.
If a country like Ghana has a Ministry of Transport, I will expect, with qualified staff, I will expect that the least Nigeria can do is to have whatever has been done in Ghana in every state. That is the minimum. Why? Because of your population, because of the diversity of your culture, because of the need to spread development across your region or your country, because of all the roles that I've enumerated as the roles of transport in the economy. So if we want the entire country to develop based on the things that I said, then it is imperative that every state with a certain number of people should have a certain structure in place. Now, in Ghana, what exists? We have the Ministry of Transport, and then we are now evolving more municipal assemblies and trying to create municipal transport departments. So there are about 260 something municipalities. Only maybe 10 have very strong municipal transport departments, which have some staff. But at least there is a plan, and we are evaluating their capacity as a center, and we are making prescriptions on what ought to be done. Now, why didn't we do that before? That is also another point I put up earlier on. I said the narrowness of our practitioners, the narrowness, the training we have given to so-called experts in Africa is too narrow, that their understanding of transport is too narrow, unfortunately. And I say this because I have been a professor in the university for at least almost 30 years. And therefore, I can speak on every authority. I have trained people in the university for about 30 years. And because of that, we ourselves, our programs, we've changed it. And we have checked all the programs across Africa. And we are not teaching what can solve the problem, unfortunately. So we are people who are trying to solve the problem, but they have no tools because they themselves, they don't understand the fundamentals of the problem, unfortunately. We have trained infrastructure, highway engineers, and they are trying to understand a transport and mobility problem, which is driven from another sector. Now, sometimes we have also those from the humanities who don't understand the system fundamentals of the infrastructure and mobility, who are trying to solve the problem, and it doesn't work that way. So we have a capacity problem. Africa's problem, number one, is capacity problem. We've just finished an evaluation of the Gambia, Sierra Leone. We've been to Liberia as a center. We are making a study across West Africa. I have been to Nigeria a couple of times. I've interacted with them. What we are seeing across West Africa is not different. So we understand the problem, but fortunately, we also have some suggestions, both for academia and for the industry, because even though we haven't done the right thing, I feel we have another opportunity to change something. Why? Because the whole world is going to change in the next 20 years. And therefore, if you have built something, you may have to change anyway. So if you haven't built, it's not a problem. But what you need to know now is the right thing, so that you can teach the people the right things, you can evolve the right institutions, you can provide the right facilities and amenities to ensure that even though we missed the first boat after independence, we missed it in the last 4 decades. The next decade, we will not miss it. That is what I think we should do. So understand the problem, understand the capacity challenges, make the provision, set up the structures. If we set up the structure and we make them accountable, the politicians will line up, because development is about people. And when the politicians know that we are serving the public and the public like the right things we are doing, they will change their mind. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. I like Yoke Goose. Goose is a very close friend to Nigeria in terms of his expertise in transport and road safety. If all the way from the Netherlands, he's been on the platform, and would like to get a perspective from you on all of the things we have just been discussing, particularly in your area of expertise, which is urban mobility. Please, Yoke Goose, can you come on board and just give us a perspective quickly? Thank you.
Are you sure he has not left?
He's here.
Yo.
He's there. I can see him.
Oh, okay.
Yo.
Sorry. Yes, you can hear me now?
Yeah,
yes,
fine,
we can hear you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to join your meeting. And I think it was a very interesting one. Like in many meetings, we are talking about politicians, and we conclude that if we want to reach our goals, we need political will. But to my opinion, political will is necessary, but not enough. I think what we need is political priority. That means an action plan and sustainable funding to execute this plan. Politicians are necessary to take the final decisions, but we also know that politicians, when they are not re-elected, after 4 years, we have new politicians. And no problem with that, but we have to start the story and our message from the beginning. That's why I think it's very important that politicians should be fed by a good and effective management at ministries, who can prepare based on knowledge and data, and quite often data is a challenge as well, but based on good data to develop a policy, a transport policy, mobility policy, combined with an action plan. What should we achieve within what kind of period? And we also need the data to evaluate our plan and to see if the results we are expecting will be achieved. That means, and that's what Mr. Charles Adams also said, we need to build capacity, not only from ministries and politicians, but also from private sector, involve them. Also NGOs, involve them as well. And I know in Nigeria, we have a lot of civil society organizations, over 200, but I understand recently they joined in a kind of federation. So now they can speak with one voice. And I think this is very important to develop a kind of pressure group to keep politicians and government on track. And I think that's the most important issue. Keep them on track, give them, the politicians, the right plans and actions to take the right decisions, and press them to make reservations for enough funding to execute the plans. So I think transportation policy will be better in practice if private sector, for example, public-private projects, and also including civil society or organizations like Raytheon in Nigeria, to involve them all to create and to establish a national team that's committed to road safety. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for that perspective, and all of the positive comments are noted, and we look forward to taking advantage of them in advancing the outcome of this program. Now I hand over back to the chairman for some final comments before we give the vote of thanks.
Well, thank you for your time, because people have stayed steadily for 3 hours, and I think this is quite commendable. And we thank ourselves for internet access to bring all of us together from different angles. I will urge the organizers to put all this together in a way that can be distributed to members who have participated, as well as those who would need them. And we certainly cannot provide a solution or set of solutions at one go, but we will not give up. We will continue to press until we get to the point. Transportation is key, and perhaps the most important aspect after security to sustainable development. So we thank you for the time, and I thank Omidiji for bringing me on board here.
Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful. Can we also have from Dr. Omidiji a final closing words before we close now?
Well, the simple aspect of it is let's have a timeline whereby resolution will be made. I hope you are putting pen on paper from your end.
Certainly.
Fantastic. So you will give us a timeline for resolutions to get to everybody as they have submitted their details. Having said that, I want to appreciate the chairman. I want to appreciate the two presenters as well as contributors. My very good friend Joe is always there at a bell and call. There are other people on the platform. I saw Dr. Yele Akikugbe on the platform for a while. I saw he's also in Canada. I saw also a very good friend of mine from the US. He just came in briefly and left. I want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a pleasure brainstorming on issues that concerns our continent and specifically the Black race. I am so happy and delighted to have you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, would you permit me, sir?
Yes,
with
go ahead.
your permission.
Go ahead.
My boss, Olakunle Omotajo, is on the platform, and I didn't get. And please, he's still here. Permit, even if it's just 1 minute for him to just a word.
The chairman will allow.
My ACM, sir. Apologies, sincerely.
Sorry, I didn't even remember the man is there. Kunle, sorry.
Yes, I mentioned him in my own short speech because I saw him was there.
Kunle, ACM, is muted?
He's there, but I think he's mute. Okay, so anyways, appreciation to him. He was here on the platform before the program began, and he's
yes, I saw him too.
To the end. We are so grateful. I saw Dr. Paul Zanule from Uganda. My very good friend from Ghana.
John, he's submitted now. We can talk to him.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Bayomi, I'm sorry. Mr. Bayomi is on the... Please, just 1 minute, if you permit. Just 1 minute, please.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Chairman, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Bayomi. Mr. Bayomi.
All right. Okay. I'm glad to be here.
And
I thank the chairman and everybody that has contributed. For me, because I also sense. But the topic is the politics of transportation, growth, and development in Africa. So I wonder whether a number of politicians who are part of the I wonder whether legislators were there of all these things about regulatory freedom and policy. It's about legislation. That is what we need to sustain transport improvement. And then it can be linked to African Development Bank, which is the bank for development of Africa. Now we have African free trade and what have you. So that was my observation. And I noticed that generally in all the things we do in Nigeria, or generally, yes, in Nigeria, we relegate the fact that from starting point throughout what we are consummating and by implementing, we relegate media communication about what you want to do, what you are doing, and the gains they can make. So all these areas need to be integrated together, and then we can have the growth and development in Africa as we want, especially now added to regional, my minor contribution. I thank you for the indulgence.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Okay, sincere appreciations. Okay, those observations are noted to be part of the outcome that we're putting together already. Thank you too also to Dr. Gloria Ahmed, who was in Ministry of Transport, now in the head of in the Ministry of Finance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes. And thank you to everyone that has made this program a success. We are grateful to every one of you, like my boss, the Executive Secretary, have said. We look forward to a next edition coming up very, very shortly. And once the outcome of this is ready, we shall distribute and share with everyone and ensure that we keep carrying each other along as we go ahead.
John,
once again,
appreciate the second host, your second partner in Calgary.
Apologies, Deji. Apologies to you for all of your effort. You started as the host, and then we appreciate you sincerely for all of the contributions that has made this program a success. We look forward to sustained collaboration as we look forward to better transportation in Nigeria and of course in Africa. Sincere thank you to everyone. Once again, we look forward to meeting you in the near future with an even more greater edition. And of course, apologies for the